Hey, Lakers fans, gather around because we need to talk about something that's been stirring up debates across the NBA world. It's about these rankings that came out recently, where ESPN decided to categorize the league's trios into tiers, and, well, the Lakers ended up in Tier 6. Now, before anyone gets too heated, let's take a deep dive into this because the situation is a lot more complicated than it might seem at first glance. When you look at the top tiers, there's some logic behind the placements. The Oklahoma City Thunder, fresh off winning the championship, makes sense at the pinnacle. They have a trio that not only dominated last season, but is expected to improve even further in the next. The Denver Nuggets come next, Tier 2, which also checks out if you consider that Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, and Aaron Gordon have been battle-tested together and are consistently among the toughest teams to beat year after year. But then, when the list reaches the Lakers, things start to feel inconsistent. It's hard to reconcile the numbers and rankings with the reality of what this team actually brings to the floor. Let's break it down. Luka Doncic was ranked the third-best player in the entire league, only behind Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic. That means ESPN itself acknowledges that Luka is arguably one of the top two players that could significantly impact a game. LeBron James was placed as the eighth best player. Even if you're just considering those two as a duo, by ESPN's own evaluation, they're one of the most formidable pairings in basketball. Then you add Austin Reeves into the mix. Here's where things get puzzling. Reeves, while certainly talented, is still developing and, by general consensus, is not yet a superstar. Yet somehow, this addition supposedly drops the Lakers down to 16th. It's almost as if the criteria for these rankings ignored logic entirely. When you compare the Lakers trio to other teams in the same tier, the inconsistencies become glaring. You have the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Miles Turner, and Gary Trent Jr. Then there's the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard, Bradley Beal, and James Harden. On paper, yes, these are strong players, but taking them as a collective over Luka, LeBron, and Austin feels like a stretch. The Golden State Warriors were listed with Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, and Jimmy Butler. Again, a trio that has achieved success, but in terms of raw impact, the Lakers lineup arguably outperforms them. Even the Dallas Mavericks show up in the same tier with Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flagg. If we are honest, Cooper Flagg hasn't even played a full NBA season. Anthony Davis is often dealing with injuries, and Kyrie Irving's participation is questionable at best. So the question becomes, what exactly is the methodology here? Is it injuries? Longevity? Play style? Past championships? Because the ranking seems to contradict every logical measure we could apply. Even when looking at the supposed Tier 3 and 4 teams, nothing really justifies the Lakers' placement at 16. Teams like the Boston Celtics or Indiana Pacers, who are missing key players, are rated above or close to the Lakers, which makes zero sense if the goal was to rank trios based on potential impact. Another angle that makes this confusing is the debate about who the third guy in a trio is. Austin Reeves has been criticized heavily, and some even label him as an underperformer. But when you compare him to other third options across the league, he holds up extremely well. He can handle the ball, score efficiently, and create plays in ways that many other third options cannot. Take someone like Aaron Gordon on the Nuggets. Statistically, he might appear comparable to Reeves, but impact-wise, Austin contributes consistently in a system where LeBron and Luka can draw defensive attention, which in itself amplifies his effectiveness. It's not just about raw points or rebounds. It's about influence on the team's overall success. And if we're honest, no other third option in the league carries as much weight as Austin does in that Lakers setup, especially in combination with two of the top 10 players according to ESPN. The tier system, as presented, also seems to ignore context. If we consider the Lakers duo of LeBron and Luka alone, they would arguably sit comfortably at the top of the rankings. Adding Austin Reeves should not be seen as a detriment. It should be considered a strategic advantage. But the moment he's included, the Lakers drop 15 spots, which suggests that either Reeves is being unfairly undervalued or the system itself is fundamentally flawed. This inconsistency becomes even more evident when you start comparing other teams in the same tier. Teams like the Orlando Magic, Minnesota Timberwolves, Houston Rockets, and Detroit Pistons are all listed in tiers that don't make sense based on player health, potential, or proven performance. Cade Cunningham, for example, is still developing and hasn't yet reached the level of LeBron or Luka. Kevin Durant and the younger talents on Houston are promising, but in terms of immediate impact as a cohesive trio, it's hard to argue that they would outperform the Lakers. Even teams that had strong seasons last year, like the Cleveland Cavaliers or New York Knicks, are placed above or close to the Lakers for reasons that don't fully align with statistical or real-world performance. The Knicks, despite reaching the conference finals, were among the worst against .500 teams, and if they played in the Western Conference, they might not have even made the playoffs. That's a critical factor that seems to have been ignored in this ranking. At the end of the day, the Lakers have 2 players in the top 10, according to ESPN, plus a third who is rising rapidly and has proven his ability to influence games. Any ranking system that positions them as the 16th best trio needs a serious reevaluation. When you look at all the teams above them, most are dealing with incomplete rosters, injury concerns, or question marks that make it hard to justify a higher placement. The argument for putting the Thunder and Nuggets at the top tiers is understandable. They're proven and cohesive, but for every team after that, the logic seems to fall apart. The Lakers' combination of talent, experience, and floor impact simply can't be dismissed, and it certainly doesn't align with Tier 6 positioning. This isn't just about numbers or opinions. It's about understanding the game at a deeper level. When you have Luka Doncic as the 3rd best player in the league, LeBron James still in the top 10, and Austin Reeves consistently outperforming expectations, that should translate into recognition. The Lakers have a trio that can dominate on both ends of the court, create mismatches, and influence the outcome of any game on any given night. Placing them below teams that are either incomplete, injury-prone, or lacking chemistry doesn't reflect the reality on the court. It's a ranking that seems disconnected from actual performance, and that's what has fans talking. We have to consider all angles: talent rankings, health, past performance, and potential. And when we do, it becomes clear that the Lakers deserve to be much higher than the 16th spot. The duo of Luka and LeBron alone could challenge any team in the league. Add Austin Reeves, who complements them perfectly, and suddenly the Lakers' tier placement feels more like an oversight than an accurate reflection of their strength. It's about evaluating how players interact, how they create opportunities for each other, and how they perform in high-pressure situations. By those standards, this trio should not just be in the discussion. They should be at the forefront of any tiered ranking. Now, let's dig even deeper into why the Lakers' placement at Tier 6 doesn't sit right when you look at the league from a performance and context perspective. It's not just about who's individually ranked. It's about how the trio functions together, and that's where the rankings seem to completely miss the point. Take the Clippers, for instance. On paper, Kawhi Leonard, Bradley Beal, and James Harden sound formidable. But if you strip away the names and consider cohesion, recent injuries, and the reality of their current rosters, there's a huge gap between them and the Lakers. Kawhi has been managing injuries, Harden's fit in LA is still being evaluated, and Beal's consistency is a question mark. Meanwhile, you have LeBron and Luka, both carrying immense offensive and defensive weight, plus Austin Reeves, who may not have superstar status yet, but has proven time and again that he can rise to any occasion and influence critical moments. This is a trio that doesn't just stack stats. They create matchups that force defenses to adjust constantly. Yet somehow, in this tier system, they're lumped together with teams that, if you dig below the surface, have far less reliability and continuity. And then you start looking at teams like the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler, as listed in the ranking, certainly have accolades and highlight reels, but the Warriors are aging, have struggled with injuries, and their supporting cast is inconsistent. Draymond's defensive brilliance is undeniable. Curry's shooting is legendary, and Jimmy Butler's intensity is unmatched, but this trio isn't inherently stronger than the Lakers lineup right now. The Lakers have a balance of youth, experience, and versatility that gives them an advantage in nearly every scenario. LeBron's ability to control tempo, facilitate, and defend, paired with Luka's creativity and scoring prowess, plus Reeves' sharp shooting and defensive contributions, is a combination that can match up against anyone, anywhere, at any moment. Yet, despite all of this, they're placed in Tier 6, and the explanation for why remains elusive. The argument some analysts make about injuries or age doesn't fully hold water either. If injuries were the primary factor, you'd have to apply the same logic to the Clippers, Warriors, and Celtics, and the inconsistency becomes glaring. Boston, for example, is missing key players like Jason Tatum for parts of the season, and yet they're rated higher or comparable in tiers to a Lakers squad that is largely healthy and, when on the court together, demonstrably effective. It's the same with the Indiana Pacers, who are struggling with roster issues and lost critical pieces during the offseason. So the question really becomes, is this ranking based on potential recent playoff success or some subjective narrative that doesn't align with the actual talent on the floor? Because if we go purely by the numbers, the Lakers trio should rank much higher. And let's not overlook the role Austin Reeves plays in this. Yes, there are critics, and yes, he's still developing, but there's a reason why he's considered one of the most impactful young players in the league. He can stretch defenses, create for others, and hold his own defensively against bigger opponents. His presence amplifies the effectiveness of both LeBron and Luka. You can't just look at him in isolation as a third option and dismiss his contributions. Basketball is inherently a team game, and Reeves' ability to complement his superstars is exactly what makes this Lakers trio so effective. When you compare him to other third options in the league, many of whom have more experience but less impact, the value he brings becomes obvious. In other words, if Reeves is the reason the Lakers are ranked so low, then the tier system is fundamentally flawed. Looking at other teams in the tier above the Lakers only magnifies this point. Minnesota, Houston, Cleveland, New York. Yes, some of these teams had success last season, but context matters. Minnesota might have been impressive in the playoffs, but their overall roster depth and consistency pale compared to the Lakers' combination of LeBron, Luka, and Austin. Houston is still developing young talent, and while Kevin Durant is a force, his team's overall cohesion doesn't compare to a trio that can dominate both ends of the court consistently. Cleveland had an excellent season, but the Cavs' playoff performance and supporting cast limitations make it questionable whether they should outrank the Lakers. The Knicks reached the conference finals, yes, but their regular season performance against .500 teams tells a different story. If they play in the Western Conference last year, there's a strong chance they wouldn't have even made the playoffs. All of these nuances get lost in a tier-based ranking system that seems more focused on narratives than actual on-court impact. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, the NBA rumor mill is ablaze after Luka Doncic, the Dallas Mavericks superstar, seemingly threw fuel onto the fire regarding the Los Angeles Lakers. In a statement that has left fans and analysts alike scrambling, Doncic reportedly said, "Nobody on the roster wants him back at the Lakers." While he didn't specify who he was referring to, insiders suggest the comment is likely aimed at a former Lakers star whose relationship with the team has been under scrutiny for months. Sources close to the Mavericks indicate that Doncic's words were not just offhand remarks. Teammates reportedly reached out to him before he spoke publicly, urging caution, but Luka appears resolute in his stance. The timing of his declaration is particularly intriguing, coming just as trade rumors surrounding the Lakers have reached a fever pitch. Many speculate that if the player in question were to return, it could disrupt the team chemistry that the Lakers have been carefully cultivating. Lakers fans are divided. Some argue that the former star could still bring value to the team, especially in high-pressure playoff situations. Others believe that Doncic's blunt assessment reflects a broader sentiment that has been simmering inside the Lakers' locker room for months. Coaches and front office personnel have so far remained tight-lipped, fueling further speculation. Social media erupted within minutes of Doncic's statement, with hashtags and threads debating every possible interpretation. What makes this revelation even more compelling is Luka's track record. Known for his straightforwardness both on and off the court, Doncic doesn't shy away from controversial opinions. If he truly believes that reintegrating the former Lakers star would be a mistake, this could influence not only the team's strategy, but also potential trade negotiations around the league. For now, the NBA world is left to wonder, is this a simple opinion, a tactical move to pressure the Lakers, or a sign of deeper unrest behind the scenes? One thing is certain, Doncic's words have reignited the Lakers' rumor mill, and the next few weeks could see seismic shifts in the Western Conference. Fans, analysts, and even rival players will be watching closely to see if this is just chatter or a harbinger of one of the most talked about moves in recent NBA history. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.